Welcome to the Curmudgeon in the Cellar, number 320. I don't know if I like that, but I'll leave it in on this one. Howdy. Okay. I read this first one for a reason. I'll explain in a second. Tim Kask, wow. You DM'd a game of D&D at Origins 2 in Baltimore, 1976. Set in a crashed spaceship. Believe it was a precursor to Metamorphosis Alpha. I was the halfling thief that figured out how to open the doors using toolkits found in a robot's kit. I bring this up because isn't that what this is about? Great memories, stories, feats, accomplishments, or whatever. Let's see. Now, wait a minute. Pardon me. Yes, I have to get closer to the center of the screen. Okay, that's what my engineer, editor, that's what Jim told me. Hey, I'm glad you had a great time. And if you remember it all this time, I'm sure it's not because it was me running it, but because it was an amazing story and an amazing adventure. And that's what gaming is, role-playing gaming is about, is making memories. Definitely. Whether we want them or not, good, bad, their memories are bad, memories. Love your stream with a fresh cup of coffee to start my Saturday morning with you. Start my morning with you for the last 2 months. I wish I could start my Saturday morning with me. I'd get out, I'd do my morning thing. I'd toast an English muffin, slice of American cheese, a nice hot patty sausage, lots of yellow mustard, and eat it like a sandwich. Anyway, that's my ideal breakfast. I wish I could do that. Anyway, I've been playing D&D for over 40 years and wish I had my old dungeon mags that I had as a kid. It's funny. I never saw any dungeon mags. Never did. I was involved with Little Wars and, Strategic Review, and then Little Wars and Dragon, and then Dragon, and then Adventure Gaming, and then Gygax. And I didn't read if I saw it, I didn't pick it up because I didn't read the competition. If I didn't read the competition, I couldn't imitate them. I couldn't react to it. I just did my thing, my editorial voice for my magazines. But, all right, let's see. It's wonderful, amazing to get to see you after all these years. I've always loved your take on D&D. And would like to thank you for your hard work and great stories. Please keep it up. Thank you again, and be well. Yes, I hope to be well, and you're very welcome. And there again, I've been fortunate that I've been in this for a long time, and so my presence has created and become intertwined with a lot of memories. Thanks for answering my questions about Gary in episode 318. I wanted to thank you sooner, but this has been a rough week. I found my father passed away when I went to visit him on Sunday. So my frame of mind has not been good. Thank you for continuing to share your knowledge and insight with us. I always look forward to your videos. And oh man, I'm sorry for your loss. I remember when I lost my dad, it was kind of like, oh. Well, it's hard to describe, and I don't want to go into it there, but I do feel your pain, and it will pass. Depending upon your tightness of the relationship, I imagine has a lot to do with how long it'll take to pass. Okay, with all respect to you, I think you misread what I originally posted. I didn't say the company doesn't own the game, but metaphorically speaking, it's not in their control anymore once it's in the hands of the people who have purchased the rule books. Yeah, okay, but that's not what I was saying. All right, and I'm going to clarify. Yeah, somebody could run it using Greyhawk, somebody could run it using Blackmore, so, we can all run it however we want. we're not talking about now. We're talking about then. And we were very engaged in shaping the perception of the game. And that often meant tinkering with or doing away with or shooting down other ideas of how we could have done it better. Now, I've got just enough conceit and hubris to say, I think we did pretty goddamn well. Here we are, all these years later, arguing about it. All right? In our hubris, we felt that if spell points took over and got out of hand, it would not remain a playable, fun game. All those decisions that we made back then were shoring up, trimming off, adding on to make a game that I believe we made that's still being played 50 years from its inception, more than that. I believe that if spell points had suddenly taken over the game as it was played on both coasts and wherever, it would not be the game that is still around today. I believe spell points, and we believe spell points, were a bad idea. They would simply players would simply find ways to finagle the numbers, and magic users would rule the universe, the cosmos, the everything-verse. So that's what I was saying. We felt that we were keeping the perception of the game in our vision, in what we felt was going to be a long-term activity. And I think we did it. Sure, today you can play any way you want. But I promise you that you don't find anybody with a great spell point system out there that you can adopt. And that's the one that probably posed the most threat during those early years. Thanks again for answering my previous question. I do indeed have that soft spot in my head for spending hours setting up cardboard counters according to some historical source, and then pushing them around seeing if die rolls can lead to something ahistorical happening. Well met, good sir. I agree the SPI's War of the Ring was fairly awful. What did you think of SPI's Barbarian Kings? I don't remember. I may have played it once, but I don't remember a lot about it. I haven't played it since I was a teen, but seem to recall it being somewhat fun. Might have been. There were so many games to play back then. Everybody was. You look at the list of games and their years of release, and you saw so much stuff coming out at one time. Couldn't keep up on everything. I always enjoy your vids. I'm wondering if you had the recent book curated by John Peterson on the making of the original Dungeons & Dragons, and if so, what comments you had on it. Nope, I haven't seen it except pictures of the cover on Facebook posts, and therefore I have no comments on it. Don't know. Be a fool to comment on something I haven't seen. If your players would spend an inordinate amount of time testing an ordinary object, talking about perhaps the best reason logic it would be magical, well, one thing it might be a goblin is gold and wine. All right, okay. If one person, if they decide that if they come up with this, apparently the question is, pardon me. If they decided, the way parties' minds create stories out of thin air, that it was old regal tied to a lord's pension for wine makes a goblin to taste sweeter or never ending. Given a good reason why it would be magical, would you allow it? Probably not. I'm careful about the magic I interject into a story, because that's what it is, an ongoing story, because they might have unbalancing, unforeseen effects. So I'm very careful about that. I try to think it out very carefully and not make a decision yes or no on the fly. It's not so much an object as that it's just, if it is an object, it might not even be as interesting as a goblet. I could just describe a shattered wooden box in the corner. Okay, it's an old crate that got busted up. But now they want to put it back together and see if there's any writing on it and what the writing might mean. And if it's missing any pieces, and do we have to go off and find the missing piece so this will be a magic box? Those are the ones you don't want to give into, because those can have unforeseen consequences. Many unforeseen consequences. And no, you obviously can't prepare for them all, or they wouldn't be called unforeseen. But you gotta limit your possibilities of those things. Yeah, you just gotta watch that. That's just landmines that you plant it yourself because you chose to accept it into the game. Pardon me, you can all have a sip now, or a long gobble or whatever. Pardon me. Oh boy. The playing with toy soldiers is a major front in the culture wars. Proselytizers are coming out of the woodwork. It's a game, not a religion or political party. Play it the way you want and allow others the same. Yeah, I agree. I just comment. I don't even necessarily decry or bemoan. I comment. And when I comment on such things as the Disneyfication of orcs, it's a commentary. It's an observation. It could even be an editorial, an opinion. And I'm allowed to have them, by the way. And if they go contrary to the printed word and the rules, that's okay too, because I can do that. So can you. We can all have our own opinions. George Carlin. I could get into him. I could sound. All right. Yeah, I've done Carlin riffs back in the day. Sad to hear about Stefano, Dwarven Forge. Oh, Stefan, getting suspended from an AD&D Facebook group after defending Gary. A modern hobby legend like him on the receiving end of action like that is truly disappointing. Well, it's funny. Until you mentioned it, I hadn't heard about it. Now, Stefano's at Gen Con right now as I'm making this. So I couldn't, I didn't get a hold of him and say, hey, what happened? I didn't see anything in any of the groups that I belong to, and God knows I belong to a bunch of them. And he didn't tell me anything about it. And if it'd been a horrendous affront, he might have. So I don't know. But I hope it was worth it to him. I don't know what he defended. I don't know how he defended it. I don't know anything about it. Sorry. And I'm not going to touch it with a 10-foot pole until I got all the facts, ma'am. Just the facts. I'm an old grognard and never understood the 1 minute round in AD&D. Maybe that's why I play BXD&D. Thanks. And of the many, I think there were 4 or 5 responses to this. One neat way to track segments is to draw up a 10-wedge pie chart. I did it with the Inkscape, and use that to keep track of where in a 1 minute round things are happening. Yeah, okay. If that's another thing on the table. I will share, and not as I'm not telling you that however you do it is inferior or anything. If you're doing, I've done it with. We all roll a 10-sided dice. All right, whether it's a 20-sider divided by 2, 10-siders. I got some beautiful 10-siders I've had for years and years, and no idea where I got them. Lovely, round, soft corners. Somebody stole one of them from me at a con a few years back. If I ever catch him, I'll crush him. His most valuable parts in a vice. Anyway, everybody rolls. I roll for the bad guys. And the way I roll it is 0 start and 9's finish. And when it comes to a number that I have rolled for one of the opponents, I always let the players have first hack. I've explained the way my melee works. In a general sense, it's not a lot of pairing off. And it's so it becomes, all right, who rolled a 0? And because everybody rolls, and they put that die out in front of them. Everybody can see it. So everybody knows. So there's no fudging or oops and getting a better number. Everybody knows. 0s, what are you doing? 1s, what are you doing? 2s, what are you doing? If it's a magic user that says I'm going to do this and such, okay, you'll be able to do it on segment 5. Okay, because magic users and archers often have a lag because you can't get off everything of the spell immediately. There are no spells that are just hanging there between your hands, just crackling energy. Wouldn't that be cool? And if there are, well, you just use it for the day, so I hope you like walking around like this if you didn't need it. All right. Archers, if they weren't ready knocked a couple 3 rounds, okay, you can let fly in 3 more. You're 2, you can let go in 5. Okay. And if you're shifting like that, it may be that on successive rounds, the archer might actually get 2 and 1. Okay, he might get 2 shots in within one 10 segment round. But the point being, it's all sitting down in front of you. We go in order. If when one of the players has a number that one of my monsters have, he gets the first smack. That's especially valuable in melees where there's only a couple of attackers, or in melees where you've whittled them down to a couple. Otherwise, my way of assessing damage is more fluid. I've always found it just to be the easiest. I've tried other ways, and they don't make as much sense to me. Because if you stop and think of 6 seconds, if you're a swordsman with a shield, you swing, you block, you swing, you block. You can easily occupy the better part of 6 seconds with many of those. And if hit points are the ability to evade the fatal blow, that fits right in with my schema. I don't mean to belittle the questioner here. I always thought it was just natural and easy to do, and the guys at Carbondale fell right into it, and we never missed a step. when we converted over to that. Just seemed like an easy way to do it. It's certainly convenient. 6-second segments. Okay. Now, all right. You're the archer and you're carrying an arrow, and it's on the string. Then I'm only going to bump you one, because certainly you can draw, knock, and aim within that next 6-second segment. But if you got oops, I was carrying my spear, stow your spear, pull out the bow, knock an arrow, draw, okay, then you bump. So they can't do it right away. Now, the low, I look at it as the low initiative number just means they're really quick doing it, and they're doing it well. Let's go on. In the case of special NPCs and female PCs, I've chosen to ignore the strength limitations. It never truly seemed to make any sense to me. Yeah, and I'm okay with that too. I really am. That stupid thing that I published about, females and strength and that, there's a handful, and no, I'm not going to enumerate them, but there are a handful of articles that, today I go, Jesus, what was I thinking? All right, I made mistakes. Hopefully not a lot of them, but I made mistakes. Now, I'm going to be very delicate here. The movement in the last couple of years that I truly don't understand is player character figures in wheelchairs. I've tried to wrap my head around it. For 20 years, I worked with an organization here in Cincinnati that I built an organization that worked with people with disabilities. And I never, ever, ever met a person in a chair that wanted to stay in it. I had always assumed, wrong, as I now know, that anybody that was so hampered would fantasize about being unhampered. Nothing wrong. I'm just freely admitting that I don't understand, because now you start going away from pure fantasy and going more into sci-fi or post-apoc. Just my, gee, I wonder why. Okay, now, I'm only bringing up this next one because the topic is a game. And I'm not sure why, if this person is just trying to, kick my starter or what. Or if this person is truly this ignorant. Because it was done right in the same period of the comments about women's strength limitations or not. This person has chosen a sport that's dear to me, that I have spent many years of my life coaching, both boys and girls, refereeing, high school announcer, and avid fan. And even a season ticket holder 1 year for an MSL team here in Cincinnati. A professional women's soccer team would lose to a 16-year-old boys' soccer team. That statement shows a profound ignorance of kinesiology. Okay, kinesiology, the study of bones and muscles in the skeleton and how it all works together and everything. Women mature faster. I got news for you. A 9-year-old girls team would beat the pants off a 9-year-old boys team. They've matured quicker. They are, for the most part, on average, faster and stronger. A professional women's soccer team. Let's take anyone in the WMSL or MWSL or however it goes, or better yet, let's take those lovely ladies playing in the Olympics right now. At the end of the first 12 or 15 minutes, the boys' team would be down at least 3-0. All right, let's take a minor women's professional league, if there even is one. Now, I coached my son up to high school and watched him be coached through high school. And as good, and my son's team was the Cincinnati City champ his senior year. We were good, absolutely good. And I got news for you, writer. The women's team from Ohio State would have kicked our ass and tied it in a knot. It's about the same age difference. Okay. Ta-da! I have a book. It has come out. The Lost Adventures is a reality. I'm going to show it to you. We're going to have a little unboxing. Sort of. As I figure out how this stupid camera focuses. But we have a book. Ta-da! The Lost Adventures of Gary Kahn 1 and 2. Written by yours truly. Converted and laid out by Don Samora from Wizard Tower Games. Hardbound. Saddle stitched. See that? So, there we go. Saddle stitching. And color. Throughout. Color everywhere. All sorts of interesting stuff. There's a certificate of authenticity that corresponds to the book's number. There's a little holographic strip to prove its authenticity. And it's just gorgeous. Lots of color, great illustrations. Some of the old originals, and I got to get a hold of some of them if I can find them and give them and pay them an honorarium. Interesting stuff in the back. Magic items. All stuff that pertains to the two adventures. A Marvin the Mage comic strip that was in one of the Gary Kahn programs one year. And then, if that weren't enough for the Kickstarter, unannounced, we have something else. It came in an envelope. I'm going to unseal the envelope right now. And yes, we have a few of these. It's a limited edition print run. We have a few of these available through Wizard Tower Games, and I'm sure Jim is putting a link to Wizard Tower Games at the end of this video. Boy, they sealed this rascal up. All right, here we go. What do we have in the envelope? I just destroyed the envelope, but as it has no markings on it whatsoever, it has no collector's value whatsoever, without the seal that I just destroyed. Whoop, what's in here? Oh. I didn't know these were in here. Some stickers. Ooh. Roll lots of dice and be happy. Chaotic stressed. Yeah, okay. Lots of my monsters are chaotic stressed. All right, what do we have here? Oh, we have a full color map of Don's world that we have placed this in. We have, these are all breakdowns, segments of the world. There is 1, 2, I haven't done this, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 of them. Together they make up an entire world. Oh, well, no. No, Sky, whoop, no, wrong. Oh, Jesus, this is even neater. Okay, some of them are map, and some of them are, oh my, this is great. They're all the levels of the adventure, like the Tower of the Mad Wizard. There's all the levels in a separate sheet, all laid out. Oh my, all the rooms, that is sweet. I haven't seen, this is real, I haven't seen this before. There's the known world, and then there's three other small maps of parts of the known world in detail. And then, this really tickles me. It's sort of a facsimile of the very first version that I printed, because I printed it with comb binding in my basement. It was pretty primitive. But this is a photocopy of the original. Now, the Tower of the Evil Wizard, I copyrighted in 2009. Oh my. 2009, 2010. And they're facsimiles of the originals with the maps and everything. Oh, they're really sweet. Really sweet. Well, like I said, we still have, show the Wizard Tower logo on the bag. We still have a limited number of the original. Ooh, there's another sticker. Ooh. Oh, Maroon 20 cider. There's a limited number of these. We printed 300, and we sold most of them through the Kickstarter, but we have a limited number left. So you can still get one if you want. And they're lethal. When I looked at the level of the pre-gens that I suggested all those years ago, and then I made them up, there's some pretty good pre-gens, if that's what you want to do. Yeah, there's some pretty good ones there. It's wicked. It's lethal. Think, if you get it and you play in it, think before you act. Now, there was a question earlier, and I don't know. I must have failed to cut and paste it. That they'd already signed up for one of my games at the next Wizard Tower Con, which is the weekend after Mother's Day, or Easter, Mother's Day, Easter. Look at the end. It's late. It's very late. And wanted to know what I'd be running. If I'm not running one of the lost ones, I might be running a new one that'll probably be out by then, and I may be running it for people. I may run a Wheel of Blame, but that would be a charity celebrity type thing, maybe. Because it's all about the laughs and not about the bloodshed. But that's way in the future and don't know yet. I'm not even sure. I know at the coming GaryCon, I know I'm going to run the adventures from 1 and 2. I know I'm going to run at least 3 and possibly 4 game sessions. The third one will be a Wheel of Blame, and it will be the pie game. I'm going to have the pie game on Saturday. And for those of you who are unaware what the pie game is, it's something that Jim Ward and I started many, many years ago. He kept bugging me about something I did for him. I owe you. I said, fine, bring me a pie. And so every year he brought me a cherry pie to the convention, and I've picked a game at random, and we had cherry pie. And this year I'll pick that game will be the pie game, and we'll all eat cherry pie in honor of Jim Ward. And let's see, what else? That's it. I have no more con commitments until the spring, which means a dull fall. But not really. I'm 75 now, and I have to husband myself. Never thought I'd use that word that way. I guess that's about all I got going. I don't see anything other notes. So on that unsure note, I'll say Dodatakovi. Hello, and welcome to my Cellar.
He's the curmudgeon who wrote about the dungeons. Now he's the feller, live from the cellar. Talks about D&D and old school RPGs. Still quite a feller, the curmudgeon in the cellar. Last man around when them rates went down. Called in Gary in that Lake Geneva town. Hey Gary, it's an awful mess. Let me edit, we'll have success. D&D and Dragon Magazine. He's the curmudgeon who wrote about the dungeons. Now he's the feller, live from the cellar. Talks about D&D and old school RPGs, but he's still quite the feller, the curmudgeon in the cellar. Magic missile, it's a mortar shell. Make it hit in the first level spell. Brought psionics to the game to attack that wizard's brain. ESR and fantasy, collection of micro armory. Titan with tramp under a tree, high as could be. He's the curmudgeon who wrote about the dungeons. Now he's the feller, live from the cellar. Talks about D&D and old school RPGs, but he's still quite the feller, the curmudgeon in the cellar. Still quite the feller, the curmudgeon in the cellar.